Hi, I'm Stan DeFreitas Mr. Greenthumb, and you are?
And I am James DeFreitas, and here every week we are talking about gardening and or real estate, and in this day we're going to be talking a little bit more about the gardening aspect.
We'll be talking about trees, and we are lucky to have Kelly Stafford, who is with us, and Kelly is I'm proud to say, a certified arborist. I knew she was smart to begin with, but now she's proven, and the only bad thing is she used to call me once in a while as a certified arborist to go out and agree or disagree and give her prices on stuff, at least, some of the condos and stuff. Now, they may still come to you and say, well, you're biased because it's your company. And then poor Stan won't have to carry my sign out there saying, I'm a former radio guy, please give money. But which is most of what my fellow radio brethren are now doing. You'll see most of us on Del Mabry going, please hand us money because we don't have stations anymore. But no,
I do have a question, though, and I don't think that a lot of people, they've heard the term certified arborist. But now that you've just recently gone through the process, can you explain a little bit about everything that entails?
Yeah, so it's a lot more than I thought it would be, obviously. So I took the preparation course, and so they go over every chapter in the book, which is 16 chapters. Soil management, nutrition and fertilization, installation, pruning, safe working practices, tree biology. That one I was really surprised by because I had never really looked at it in that sense, and learning all of that really opened my eyes to that there was a lot more to it than what I actually had thought. But so I just got my results. Actually, I was leaving to come here, and I checked the mail, and my results were in the mailbox, and I got a 90%. So
that's great.
Pretty stoked about that.
See, we knew you were sharp. Well, a lot of folks don't too, and a lot of the guys who are in the tree business don't realize about phloem and xylem and rays in the tree and lenticels on the outside of the tree that let oxygen in and out, and that the whole thing is a living thing. I mean, I think a lot of guys go, we get the saw going, we trim, and we know it's the 3-cut method. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them don't. The guys who drop the tree, and run for their car probably aren't certified. And I knew a buddy of mine he said, well, I'm going to the tree business. And this was 25 years ago. And he was a pretty sharp guy. He actually he never took the first class, and he went out and dropped a tree on somebody's house. And he literally ran for his vehicle. And I thought, of course, he had no insurance. He had no, now his price was darn good. But the folks weren't overly happy that, he left the business after that, thank God. And we won't say his name because they're probably still looking for him in 3 states. But, he was actually a pretty smart guy. He just didn't. He thought that anybody could go out there, grab a chainsaw off, the big box store, and all of a sudden you're in business. And, got my station wagon, and I've got a ladder I can tie to the top, almost secure, and, tie a red flag around the back, and that's literally what he was doing, which wasn't too good.
Right. Well, sadly, it kind of is that easy to become a tree service. They don't have any regulations on carrying workman's comp and insurance. Nobody's checking that stuff unless you're, working for management companies and such. But there's a lot of guys out there that don't know what they're doing. And
under fly-by-night industries.
But I did hear that the ISA they're trying to make it required, like mandatory, to have that license to have a tree service.
I think that would be good.
It's been shot down a couple times, but I think they're still trying to. I think it would be good too. I think it would reduce a lot of the injuries and hacking the trees up, and
I agree. You look at trees sometimes, too, and they are hacked badly. And the old days, you'd see them hat-racked, which we know is bad.
Yeah.
But a lot of times in the old days, they'd go, well, look at that. I've made it a hurricane cut. And the tree's like, it's nothing to what it was. And the same thing done with palms, where there's like 2 fronds on top. and that's really not healthy. The tree's on a 1 bean a day diet.
Now you just used the term hat-racked. What does that mean for the people out there that don't know what that means?
Well, you could explain it.
So are you referring to lion's tailing?
Well, yeah, or just they cut it back so hard that it comes out with all this little superfluous growth.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just not healthy for the tree. And they would go back often and say, well, I'll just take off, not even to a logical spot. Now, normally you're going to go back to a branch off a branch. It was the way I'm sure you guys would do it. But they would just go back and you'd leave, from the main trunk, you might go off 10, 15 feet and they just trim the whole thing off and you leave these branches. And then all this growth would come out, which was very weak. And as soon as a hurricane comes through, it's going to just blow that stuff off. So, and the tree, to me, if you get to that point, you might as well go ahead and take the tree out because it's not going to be stable.
Yeah.
Now, that also brings me to the point of a lot of trees right now, with all the rain we've had, the trees do need some thinning. They need, if you've got branches crossing, you've got dead wood up there in the tree, and you do. I mean, when's it going to come out? It's going to come out the next time we have a big windstorm and a big rainstorm.
Right. We actually, that storm that just came through was pretty weak, but we have a community in Clearwater that we do work for, and there's an area that they don't really touch because it's not around the buildings, but a huge 70-foot pecan just uprooted and went over.
And, most of the trees, too, everybody thinks that a tree's like a carrot, that it goes down really deep. Most of the feeder roots are probably in that top foot and a half. So it's not, we don't have roots that are going down to China.
Right.
And when that tree, it's not that stable. And when you get a lot of water, the tree gets weakened. And if it has a real thick canopy, it's like a parachute. It can easily get blown over. And if it's right next to your bedroom or the kid's bedroom, that could be dangerous. I mean, there are people who've been killed. I was called out on a job once over in a mobile home. And, of course, the strongest wood in a mobile home is a 2x4. And I looked in on the thing, and I could see the chair where the guy had been killed. I mean, the tree came down on them. And, of course, they were worried about, litigation, that should somebody have known and been proactive. Well, yeah, they probably should have. I mean, they should go through every condo, every townhouse area, every commercial building, and they should have someone like Kelly and her brother or someone like myself come out, and I'm not going to carry it. I'm an arborist that never carries a chainsaw, so I'm going to refer them on to you because know your limitations.
Right.
Have I ever used a chainsaw? Yes. Do I want to use one at my stage in life? No. And, I will get up sometimes in a bucket truck sometimes to go up to look at the top of a palm, where I'm going to pull. I've done that for some of the cities and stuff before. But, I have no desire to. It's a younger man's game than mine to be grousting around. But a lot of older guys do it. And then they fall and in some cases die. All it takes is that 20-foot drop.
Right.
And, you say, well, when I was 20, I dropped 20 feet and I was okay. Well, yeah, but if you're 75, you're probably not going to bounce like you did then. So, get a professional to do it for you. The same thing with roofing. Everybody gets up there and goes, well, I can do it. I mean, well, James and I did.
I've done a roof before.
We did our roof, and my roof's 4 stories high.
Wow.
And the guy came out and said, look, you guys did a better job than the company down the road. And I said, yeah, but you're not seeing 10 beer cans out there by 9 a.m. either. And sadly, we see that sometimes in the guys who are not certified arborists, too. Some of the guys are out there, I start off my morning, with a six-pack. And I used to have a worker that worked with me one time who's not with us anymore, who used to go, hey, you get your cereal in a bowl, I get mine in a can. And I loved him. He was a great guy. But he died at the age of 32 because his liver just said, nope, that's it.
Enough.
And they actually went to poor buddy and they said, look, if you'll quit drinking, we'll put you on the transplant list. And he said, no, I won't do it. I mean, he literally said, well, I don't want to be old. And I said, I don't know, bud. I look at 32 as not really old. You're still on the young side. But unfortunately, he had an alcohol addiction problem and loved the guy. But in fact, I quit working him because I said, I can't stand to see you kill yourself. I've been through enough of that in my life with other folks. And so I said, here I'm fighting to live. And you find other folks who cavalierly go, well, I'll just drink that fifth of whiskey a day and see what happens. But anyway, I don't want to get off
Back
subject
to
too
a
far.
positive topic
Yeah,
here.
yeah, let's get back to good stuff.
Back to a positive. Now, one question I do have for you, Kelly, is: are you seeing people being more proactive or reactive? Are you having to go out after the fact, after a bunch of branches are down, or are they calling you? And again, I don't know if this is. I would assume, just like any other business, you can try to get people to think in a way that's more beneficial to their outcome that they're looking for. But I would think even like by March, start reaching out and planning and having a game plan for what you're going to do over the summer. Because to me, trying to get a hold of a tree trimming company in the summertime, it's like, we'll get to you, but it's when we can get to you. How are you seeing things?
I think they're calling like maybe once the storm's on the map and...
Wow.
How soon can you get out?
How soon can you get out? They're putting...
Some people are pretty proactive and they try to, early in the year get ready, but not too many people.
So the people out there that are listening to this, to try to be proactive, try to make sure you're calling out to Kelly, or I think you're doing most of your contract proposals via email, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the email address that people should be, asking you, to get a hold of you on?
Yeah. So our email is Stafford Tree Service at frontier.com.
Okay.
And so they can email me on that, or they can find us online and usually click right to a link to send an email.
And if they're, maybe they're not all that technologically savvy, they can even call you.
Yep.
And your number is?
So our number is 727-546-8786. That's our office line.
And give that number again. They always say in radio, make sure you give the number out at least twice.
Okay. So it's 727. Grab your pens.
Yep. Grab the pen and put some paper ready.
546-8786.
See, now you're a radio veteran, because that's what they instructed me a long time ago, to make sure you get that number out at least twice or sometimes three times, because people will be going, I didn't catch it. And now that I looked at my tree, I know I do need some service.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things, too, that, that Stan and I are always talking about. And part of the reason that we love to go out and try to look at trees to save the trees is because, and he made a great point, and it's something I didn't innately think about, which is, if we can save that tree, then Kelly can go out and trim it multiple times when it needs to be trimmed, rather than it being trimmed down once. And if that's the case, then that's a much better service to provide people, is to provide them with a healthy tree that looks beautiful over a lifetime, than to wait for a tree to have a problem first.
All right.
You know.
Stay with us.